Hey, good evening. Welcome to another episode of Mr. Z.
And fifth.
Yeah, today we're going to just reflect on 9/11. We're going to also reflect on Hurricane Irma and
NFL Boycott.
And the NFL Boycott. Yeah, we're going to just jump and talk about those topics right now. So how you doing out there? This is episode 12.
Yep.
And we are definitely here. Boys, for all the brethren and sisters out there that's listening, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, so I remember this since it's 9/11, September the 11th.
Yeah, we're recording the show as of as of September 11th, 2017. So that's why we're talking about it, because this is so by the time you hear the episode when it's uploaded, just know that this show was recorded on September 11th.
September 11th.
All
yeah.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Zaccheus.
Yes, man. So okay, condolences go out to those who lost their lives on September the 11th. I reflect on it. Me and generally reflect on that, man. I remember that day very clearly, like it was just yesterday, although it happened since 16 years ago. I remember like around between 8 and 8:20 that Tuesday morning, I was getting an oil change with my little red Ford Escort hatchback car, and I remember like early in that morning driving over to the mechanic shop trying to fix get that vehicle or get an oil change on that vehicle. I remember stepping out into the visitors room and looking on the TV and seeing the towers, and I'm like looking at the towers. I'm looking at the news, and I'm seeing one plane fly into the Empire State, that building, and then I see another. Then I seen another plane, and I said, this definitely got to be. This looked like this was done on purpose. So as I looked at that, then I seen the towers tumbling down. Then I stepped out to where I lived, which was on Richmond at the time, around Richmond Terrace on Staten Island, New York, and I seen across the water smokes, heavy black smoke going up in the air across the water, and I said, "Man, this is definitely something. Look, this looks very serious." I didn't know what it was at first, but telling from the news that they were saying terrorist attack, and I remember that day, that particular day, just panicking and running to my job, which I did the law enforcement at the time too. That running to my job and definitely being part of the rescue. Condolences to the firemen and police officers who lost their lives that day. Yeah, I remember being part of the rescue, going to around BMCC College around that time, and being chosen to be a officer there during the rescue. And I remember, and condolences go out to I remember I have a friend from that used to play football years ago. He died in the Empire. Jason DeFazio, shout out, condolences to him and his family. He died during the towers. He was getting married, but he didn't make it to the altar because he passed during the he was a fireman, and he passed during the towers. That day was a day that can't forget it, can't get it out your head. And every time around this time passed around, so yeah. And I remember the next day not getting I don't know if you remember, not getting no rate, not getting no everything was down. TV was down.
It was that day.
Yeah, that day. Yeah,
because you couldn't.
TV was down.
The phone lines.
Yeah,
you couldn't even call.
Nowhere.
911 was jammed.
Yes.
So you didn't know how everybody was, because I was trying to contact family and everything. So they had to shut the cell phones down. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I definitely can relate to what you're talking about.
Yeah, man, they had to shut everything down, and I remember how much it was a panic just to get to loved ones, and it was chaotic, man. And then I said, you know what? Didn't they shut the bridge down that time too? They shut down everything. Yeah,
because it was declared a state of emergency. So at that point, everything was done.
I couldn't even get to.
Well, as a matter of fact,
I was not even married at that time. I had to try to get to my fiance. He was using my fiance at that time. He couldn't even get to her, man.
Well, remember, you couldn't.
Yeah.
A lot of people. It took a lot for people to even get home because remember.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Public transit and all that was at a standstill.
Yes.
Because at that point,
yes,
you're just hoping, okay, this happened in the air. Mm-hmm. What's happening on land? Mm-hmm. So a lot of things on land was halted.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. So it was something to just look at and just say, man, can't believe it's 16 years later. And time flies. And then,
yeah, it does.
You know, and still
2001
September 11, 2001 man, was a time to just remember that you can't take life for granted. We can't take life. You gotta appreciate our loved ones and don't think that the life is not promised to no one. You gotta just learn to respect and love one another. It's not promised that you're gonna get up tomorrow and see the next day. I know that was a normal, regular sunny day. Tuesday, September 11th of 2001. It was a normal, regular, bright, sunny day. The weather was nice, just like this today. Whoever's in New York City listening, it was nice. It was beautiful weather, but that goes to tell you that it's just things can happen anywhere, anytime, any place. Can't take things for granted. You can't live life like just taking life lightly. You know, you gotta do, if you can do something, you gotta do it. And do it to the best of your ability. If you say you're gonna do it, just do it. Don't take life for granted. You know, so yeah, man. So just wanted to reflect on 9/11. Condolences to the families and friends who lost their lives, and man, I just had to reflect on that, man. Yeah.
That's interesting to hear. Me and you didn't know each other then, so it's good to hear your side on that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, once again, rest in peace to the families and people who have died, and those who have first responders, those who are the ones who are alive, but some have suffered from sicknesses due to the smoke and just the stuff that was in the building that they breathed in. So that's all I gotta say on that. I really don't have a lot to say on the matter per se, but just respect to those and God bless them. So, we also have a situation where so over the weekend, and what I mean by weekend, we talking September 9th, 10th, right?
Yes.
So we've had Hurricane Irma. Passed through the Caribbean.
Yes.
And then hit Florida. Right? The southern part of Florida. Went through Key West, the Florida Keys, which is basically the Florida Key Islands.
Yes.
Miami, heading up to, Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay, yeah.
Naples.
Naples, yeah.
Well, Naples is before Tampa Bay. But
so it hit all the southern parts of Florida, right?
It's the storm. Well, the hurricane's interesting because they predicted it would only go up. At one point, they predicted it would go up the east coast of Florida, but it ended up going between the east and the west. It's weird. It kind of jumped
mid-Florida, Orlando and Tampa and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
It kind of jumped around. I don't think it really hit Orlando like that, but it kind of jumped around, and then now it's as of while we're recording, it's going up Georgia, but it's losing its strength because it's moving off of the coast.
Yes.
And hurricanes are at its strongest point when it's on water.
Yes.
And when it has the tropical humidity heat.
Yes.
You know, so that's what will kind of fuel it its most. But it's a good thing it changed because, you know, they was looking at category 5. I think, you know, they was looking at it being a 5, then it went from a 4 to a 3 to a 2.
Then went down to 1.
And now a 1.
Yeah.
But with that said, that's the situation with Florida. But I want to go out of my way and talk about what happened to Who's that? A lot of the islands got hit so bad.
Yes.
So,
yeah. Oh,
let's see. Cuba got hit.
St. Martin.
Puerto
Rico.
And maybe, but let's put this in perspective. You already had Hurricane Harvey that had hit a lot of these places first and tore up Barbuda. You know, and it's very sad. Yeah, very sad because now in some of these islands, it's like survival of the fittest now.
Yes, St. Martin's got hammered so hard, man. I have one or two friends from St. Martin's. Yeah, man. St. Martin's got really hammered, really bad, man. And so far, the death toll is about 25 right now throughout the Caribbean. That's the latest on the death toll right now in the Caribbean. 25 lives.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, man. So condolences to those who lost their lives, man. And man, going on.
Yeah.
Man.
I don't know what's gonna, because now there's Hurricane Jose. Hurricane Jose's prediction path is that it's going to circle in the Atlantic. And it's possible that if it circles, then what will happen is that it will either dissolve or it'll just keep circling until it goes another course. You know, they think it could rotate and go back through the Atlantic, but there's no way of knowing exactly what a hurricane is going to do. There's no way. My whole thing about how these hurricanes are handled is this. So in Miami, they said a building crane fell down, and my whole thing is this: if you knew a hurricane was coming, then what you should have did was lowered all of the cranes in the downtown area.
Yeah, because that could kill people. That cranes, man.
It doesn't make any sense for you to get warning that a hurricane is coming, and then you decide to have the crane still up. A crane could do more damage falling down and killing people or hitting a building than the actual building that you're trying to build.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, that's my gripe on how that's handled.
You know how much tons of crane weigh? They're the longest tons?
Well, see, look, cranes can be lowered. They got there in the first place. A crane didn't just appear out of thin air. So you got it there to begin with. All you had to do was lower all the cranes.
Yes.
It matters more to lower it and to do what you got to do to remove the crane and to do what you have to do to get it back. I know it costs money to move that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But you got to think about people's lives first. It just goes to show you that, you know, they care about business. They don't care about lives. Heck out of here.
Yeah, it seems that's that itis that has been going around all the time, man. I mean, you know, you value your business more than you value lives.
Exactly.
I mean, man, you know, you have these cranes up that can just, you know how much damage a crane can do? A lot of damage.
Could do a lot of damage, man.
Oh man, could do a lot of damage.
Could do extensive amount of damage.
People, man,
you know, I think that happened when Hurricane Sandy hit us up here. I think there was a crane that fell.
Yeah, they had a crane up over here, Staten Island. Yeah.
It was here on this borough. I thought it was in Manhattan.
It might have been in Manhattan. No, yeah, I think it was in Manhattan.
Yeah, most likely it was Manhattan.
Yeah.
But I don't know. They need to handle that. What are your what are your thoughts on about this about how natural disasters are handled?
I think if we know that like a hurricane is coming, or a hurricane, or some kind of, or a tornado, but most likely hurricanes. Let's talk about hurricanes. If we know that's coming, we gotta prepare ourselves better. It's not like the Caribbean. The Caribbean, where it's like some of the homes are not prepared for that kind of weight of like hurricanes. Some of the homes and some of the places that's built in the Caribbean is not properly structured for hurricanes. So that's why you lose so many lives in the Caribbean. But in the U.S. is a little better in the U.S. People lose their lives here in the U.S. too. I think people lose their lives on the U.S. You know, some people, they don't listen to the news. They don't really pay attention to what's going on in media. So they would step out. For example, they would step outside after the storm. They would step outside and then they will drive and they'll just, you see rain, heavy winds blowing, just still go outside and be like, let me go outside and hop in my car. And and then you see a flying bark hit the windshield of their car, and that's it. Yeah, it's like, you gotta prepare yourselves and you gotta take precautions, people, because you can't take these storms for granted, because you can get hurt, and you can cause, and there's many lives lost, even here in the U.S. too. There's many people just don't really they take it for granted. They don't really think anything can happen. They figure that, okay, it might be a stage 1. Okay, nothing can happen, but it can happen. Just like what happened in Houston. The officer, rest in peace to the officer. I think he was driving and he drove right into it was dark. And that when the hurricane hits, sometimes the lights go out. A lot of things go out, electricity and
power.
So power goes out, and drove didn't realize he was drove into the lake, didn't realize the water was so high. Yeah, he drove his car and couldn't get out. I guess the car locked up. Filled up in the car. The patrol vehicles, the patrol vehicles, they lock up. So it's hard for you to get out. When they lock up, it's hard. It's like you're trapped. Nowhere to go. And that's what happens, man. I mean, we gotta just take precaution, especially stepping out in the storm. Especially, it's like, man, some of us do take precautions. Some of us go out and before the storm comes, because you go to the supermarket, you fill your fridges up, you go in and fill your basement up with water and so forth and so on and so on. But we can take precautions to prevent being more safe when these storms come. Not to say it could come, it's gonna come again. You don't know when, but we learn from the last one and we take precaution. I definitely learned from the time when Sandy hit that to take certain precautions and to also prepare yourself, because I remember that time we was rushing to get batteries. They had no power at all, nothing, and no heat, no heat to heat up food. We didn't prepare ourselves that well for these storms coming. Sometimes you gotta prepare yourself. You gotta bring supply of water. You gotta bring some foods that don't spoil, and keep them in storage so you can have them to eat, because you don't want to be stepping out there in the storm, man, and then you're seeing trees blowing in the wind, and then next thing you know, a bark is flying towards you, or some kind of debris is flying towards you, then you get struck. You don't want that to happen to your loved ones or no one or yourself. So we are strong advocates of taking precaution and being safe in this time of troubles, especially with Hurricane Irma. It's the stage 1 now, but people, so people don't really think some people not really taking it too serious because it's a stage 1, not too serious. But this too shall pass, and they figured that what Trump said, this will pass, and we're gonna rebuild again. So
Lord forgive me, but every time that man's name is mentioned, it's a joke. I just laugh, man. I just laugh. But
President 45, huh?
Exactly, Agent Orange himself. But a lot of people ain't really feeling Trump right now because they feel that the way he handled the Houston situation, you know what I mean? How he didn't really head down there. And let me just say this about that.
Mm-hmm.
So my thing is this, okay? What do people expect from this president from this point? I don't expect much of nothing. I don't. I expected what I expected when he ran. This was going to be a total crap show. I'm saying that the safe way, because, But that's why I don't really have much expectations for him and what he does and how he handles situations. So when he does something, I'm like, you know what? That's him being himself.
I'm hearing people on YouTube say that, give him a chance. Oh, he's a businessman. Give him a chance. Let's give him a chance. Oh, just give him a chance, and
did they give Obama a chance?
They did not.
Okay.
He runs with 2 terms, but guess what? Every time he put his best foot forward, they shut it down.
Exactly.
So
they didn't. You know, I find it. I guess they have amnesia or something, or some type of 8-year Alzheimer's disease, because they forget how they treated that man when he was in. Now, I'm not Obama's biggest fan, but I'm not his biggest critic either.
Right.
I'm not as big as I voted for the man.
Mm-hmm.
I did twice.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
You know, but I'm not his biggest fan. But at the same time, I'm not his biggest critic either, in the sense that I'm just gonna tear him down. So, you know, my thing is they didn't give Obama a chance. So now you're upset because people won't give Trump a chance. And as a matter of fact, people did. But I never heard Obama say the things that Trump has said. So if Trump wanted sympathy, then he would have thought about that before he said and done all the things he did on the way in the house. Okay? Now, you know, that's what I got to say on that. I don't want to make this whole show about him. But I just wanted to mention that since his name popped up.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
So we're going to... before we move on, anything last you want to say about this? Because we're going to move on to the NFL.
People... I don't know how the store is. The store is a category 1 right now.
Oh, Jose.
So, yeah, no, Irma.
Okay, Irma. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's moving. It says it's moving towards the Georgia coast. It's moving towards Georgia. But what do you think? You think it's gonna do that much damage in Georgia? What is doing to that?
They'll get some rain. They'll have some wind damage, but they don't have to worry about ocean surge water because Atlanta is not built on top of a ocean coast. So they don't necessarily have to worry about that from that sense. Do they have ponds and rivers and lakes? Yeah, I think there's a couple things that they have Georgia, in that city.
Yeah.
But now you got the Georgia coast. So whatever's on the Georgia coast, you got to be careful about that. Hurricanes are the worst if you are a place that's on the coast, because you got that like, for instance, us here in New York City.
Yes.
Okay. We're surrounded by water. We're surrounded by water. So that's an issue. Atlanta's not surrounded by water. The southern part of Houston has water. The central part of Houston has is not surrounded by water of an ocean because that's more inland, but they do have like a bayou that runs through the city. And the bayou runs through Houston. So the bayou got flooded. So then water from the bayou overloaded. That's a problem. Now, even though the downtown part of Houston is not on the coast per se, but you have a lot of the industrial part of Houston that is on the coast. Where a lot of the oil businesses and stuff like that is on the coast.
Yes.
You know, because there is a beach that Houston has. If you know, it's kind of like a suburb. Really, the suburbs. It's like the suburb area of Houston.
Oh, okay.
Those are the areas that are more closer to the water per se, and those got hit. And then the thing about Houston, like what I said in the last episode, I said the way Houston is built, Houston doesn't have the best water infiltration kind of system, sewer system. You know, I'm probably not saying the words right. That can a lot of times when Houston just gets a little bit of rain, these areas flood anyway because there's not enough drains.
Yeah.
You gotta have it. That's a better way for me to say it. Houston has to have a better water draining system for the city.
For the city, yes.
So that the water can go somewhere.
Yes, they need to structure that and build that in Houston.
But they should have did it a long time ago because they've been having flood problems forever. They just haven't had a hurricane hit them like this.
See,
and then I am in support of a levee system now, a levee floodgate system being built all throughout the city and all throughout the Gulf coast of Texas because you can't get hit again like this summer.
Yeah.
They can't this can't happen. So, you know.
Yeah,
you know, I would say Miami needs that too, because after seeing the water get in the streets of Miami is already a sea level city anyway. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised the water came up like that.
Yeah,
on certain parts of Miami.
I'm wondering in the Caribbean if they could do something like that, because the Caribbean, when they get hit, like especially St. Martin's, when they got hit, when Haiti got hit one time, Haiti gets a devastation when they get hit. I know when St. Martin's got hit, they got really ravished. And I seen on some clips on YouTube where a man was I can't get this visual out of my head, when this man was, maybe that was his only way of living. He was holding his truck up, and a truck came, slammed on him. So he was trying to hold his truck up. He got out the vehicle and tried to hold his truck up to save his truck. But in the process of pushing on his truck to save it from flipping over, he got out the vehicle and he put his two hands on the side of the truck, and was trying to hold it up, but the truck flipped on him, crushing him. I'm like, man, you know.
Okay, Zaccheus, hold on.
Man.
Hold on. Okay. First off, that don't make no dang sense, because the truck weighs more than you.
Yes.
So then why would you get out and think that your human self can stop a truck from being flipped over with just you putting hands up on it?
I wish he didn't do that, but the man did. And, you know, it's just maybe that. And some people do that.
Look,
they put
I mean, God bless his family. I don't want to be rough, but that just sounds crazy.
Yes.
He probably would have been, I don't know. I don't know how to theorize that and to say how he would have still lived.
You know.
So I can't, I don't know. I'm going to leave that alone.
Yeah.
But that just sounds crazy to me. That okay. Mm-hmm. If you're in a hurricane and you got winds that are 100 miles on, be smart. Mm-hmm. First off, don't even be outdoors. That's another problem.
He was outdoors, maybe trying to deliver something. I don't know.
He probably was. It's best to be in something, because you don't want to have a situation where stuff is, you know what the thing is? Hurricanes are more than just your body flying. Also stuff flying into your body.
Yeah, see?
You have a lot of stuff that's on the ground, debris, whether it be from glass, whether it be from metal shards or something like that, from a construction site.
Yes.
That's why they tell you, if you live by a construction site, that's the worst, because they have all types of stuff that's there's all types of tools and whatever. If they didn't clean it up right, sticks and piles of
debris,
screws, whatever's loose.
Yes.
And that could be picked up by winds that strong.
Yes.
That's heading towards you.
Yes. For sure.
So you can't be out. You gotta be indoors. It's best to be indoors when you have a tornado, hurricane, typhoon, tsunami. Come on.
Yeah, man. So I know some people, sometimes they want to save their businesses, and that's the only way. That's the only means of living. I understand that, but
so that truck. So it's possible that truck was probably his business.
Yes, his business.
So but it's best to save your life. Your life. You could rebuild. You could rebuild your home, or you could get another one. But what you can't get is another life.
And that's the truth. So we got to be safe out there, people, man. It's like you're trying to save a car or trying to save something. That's material. It's not worth it. Your life is more precious to your family at the end of the day. Because in the smart, like I said before, my advice is smart to go. If you know a hurricane is coming, prepare yourself.
Yeah.
With water, prepare yourself with food and water. Bring it in way ahead of time. These are some strategies you can learn when there's a hurricane coming. You get everything you can. If you don't go out, if you don't go out for your own safety. Stay indoors. Stay safe, because man, like I said before, them winds, they don't play. It's like what Fifth said. Anything can fly up in the air. You don't know. You step outside, you don't know what's coming your way.
No.
When the winds are you don't know. It's scary. It could be electrical wire, because they have a lot of electrical
power
lines flying down when you're walking.
Yeah.
That's happened before,
that's
right?
Real.
That's happened before, right?
Actually, there was a situation where the electric company. This is what the electric company does. Because I think a lot of people will equate the power going out with the actual damage. No, actually what electric companies will do is that they will, in preparation, shut the power off just so there's not a situation where, and this happens often, where a power line falls down. So then now we got a wire on the ground, an active wire. It probably gets cut, and now you got electric volts going into the water, and whatever goes into the water gets electrocuted. And then the thing is, if an electric company now has everything in the way, trees down, because this happens, now they got to get the trees off the ground so they can drive through, even when the water's gone. Say the water is gone.
Yes.
Okay, now we got the trees on the ground. The trees got to be picked up just so the electric companies could head your way.
Yes.
So they have to shut down the power, because now if they didn't shut down the power, then now we have a situation that's now worse, and then now the electric company can't even get out there in time to even amend the situation.
Yeah, because
so this is why you have situations where your power will be cut before the winds even reach you. Because they were saying that was happening. They were saying, "Yo, the storm didn't even hit yet, and the eye of the storm." I'm sorry, where they would say the eye of the storm didn't even get hit yet, and my power's out. Well, your power's probably out, because they want to prevent a situation to where you avoid a power line being down and then electrocuting people. That's all that is. Science, if you know anything about electricity and water, whatever is in that area or how long the water goes, the electricity will shock throughout that area.
Yes, it was. It was shock throughout
the power line could be 5 feet away from you, but if we have a sparking power line hitting the water, then whatever is in the water is going to shock you.
Oh, it's going to electrocute you. Oh, my gosh.
Or if it falls on a fence, because we're talking about metal.
Yeah.
So now people, there was a situation where a guy he went to do something and he had to go through his fence to do it. This man tried to climb over his fence and got fried because, because the power, the wire wrapped around the fence somehow. And then it was literally sparking, like you could hear zzz, zzz, zzz.
I remember a story that my father told me.
It turned into an electric fence.
Yeah, see? I remember a story that my father told me. It happened years ago, and maybe this is like 19... He told me this. He said this happened when he was growing up in Guyana. His brother, Desmond, his younger brother. His brother was only 11 years old. This is 1961. 1961 in Guyana, in Demerara, Plaisance in Guyana. He was the floor was wet. He was cooking he was going in some kitchen with his friends, and the water kind of filled up. It was heavy rains, and the water filled up. It was thunder and lightning outside, but it was heavy rains. The floor was filled with water. It was the floor was already flooded already, but he was cooking, and the lightning struck and it electrocuted, because he was standing in water. It electrocuted him because the lightning struck already, but the lightning electrocuted the water, and he died right there. He was only 11 years.
That's why they tell you.
Old, man.
That's why they tell you not to get in a pool during a thunderstorm.
Yes, exactly. Him and his little dog died. He told me that story,
That's sad.
Yeah, man, that was his younger brother, man. My father's younger brother, my uncle. But and I just remember that story because I remember him telling me that story. What happened when lightning? It's not smart at all to be standing in water when there's thunder and lightning and rain. It's not too smart, So that's a tip to advise anybody. It can happen, like it happened way back when. It can happen now. That's not a smart thing to do.
I just realized something.
Yeah.
I've been paying attention to the media, so we're going to get real on this one. And after this, we need to move on to our next subject, but I want to talk about this. Yeah. Every time there's a natural disaster, right?
Yeah.
You always have a situation where there's looting, right?
Yes.
So let's now get to this part. So they were showing people in Miami going in the store doing things, right? Like the media always does, they only show the black folks doing it. Now, when they showed non-black people, when they were having stuff and all that, they would say the words "find."
Find?
Yeah. Or they found food. But when it's black folks, or they stole food. See what I'm saying?
Why it's got to be for us? Why it's got to be stolen for us?
Hey, remember what Katrina? Remember what Kanye, the old Kanye, not this Kanye. This Kanye, he's out of his freaking mind. But the old Kanye said straight up,
Bush don't like black people.
Exactly.
I remember that.
You know, he said George Bush doesn't care about black people because, well, before that he said, when they show black people, it says that they're looting, but when they show white people, it shows that they were looking for food. So perception is everything, man.
Yeah, see.
You know what I'm saying?
See, that's what.
That's the one thing I like to point out is that, look, keep it smart, do what you got to do. There's bad apples in every group, but here's the difference, though. The one thing that with us, they like to paint all of us the same, but with everybody else, it's, oh no, don't paint us all the same. That's just them.
Right.
But then we tell them the same thing, like, yo, this ain't all of us. It's just, you just talk about those individuals. Don't talk about all of us, but then they start throwing their stats at us.
Yes.
Another white supremacist tactic. But then when you start doing stats at them, you're being a racist. So I just want people to pay attention to the media with all of these natural disasters. Pay close attention to the media and what they're trying to tell you and speak of you.
Yeah, pay attention to CNN. Pay attention to the networks. Eyewitness News. Pay attention to them,
Yeah. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to spend the rest of the show talking about what's going on with the NFL. So the season started, and I read somewhere that viewership is down. Good. I haven't been messing with football. I said it I said it on the Round Circle. I said that with how they doing Kaepernick and people who are like Kaepernick, I'm not down with that.
This Sunday, I didn't even care to watch a game so much. I was more into other things, I didn't really have the time to sit down and really watch a whole game, coming from church. I didn't really, it's just, when I think about Kaepernick, man, I just think about how a brother can, but when we do things, I mean, he's ridiculed for something he's standing for something that's right. And I think about that, I'm like, man, I remember when the Panthers was doing they looked at everything negative. They repainted them as everything negative and called them communists. Same thing with Kaepernick, man. It's like they're not hired. The NFL teams are not hiring him. They kind of blackballing him. They're pushing him aside as a has-been. It just shows to show you that they what they call as a criminal and crime, they paint as a criminal and crime. Every time you do what's right for us, it's always considered a crime and always considered something that's not to be, is valued as not to be valued, but just put as a crime, or put us as a communist or something that's bad. But a person that's dog fighting, they giving you, they'll punish you for it, but it's not that much of a severe punishment. This is such a, when you stand for what's right for your black life, that's a severe crime. Man, if you could talk more about it and just reflect, we're just gonna just look at that right now.
Here's what I'm gonna use to help me. So I'm gonna segue into this. We've also had other players join the boycott. Now we talked about this. Yeah. We talked about this on one of the episodes of the Round Circle, the episode, I think 9, the story of Colin Kaepernick. And we mentioned other football players. One of these football players got into a situation here. Well, the situation found him because he didn't do nothing wrong, according to what I see, according to what they've shown. I don't know all the facts, but you know what? Every time something happens, they don't always want all the facts. They just say, oh, well, there's the video right there. So all I'm gonna do is judge from what the videotape showed. That's all I could do. Michael Bennett of the Seattle Seahawks was also one of the players this season, along with Marshawn Lynch, that protested and sat down during the national anthem in support of Kaepernick. And it may not necessarily be the support of Kaepernick himself, but Kaepernick's idea You know what I mean? His ideal, his ideology. They stand for the same thing Kaepernick stands for. So this is somebody who's protests. So the very thing that happened to him was the very thing that he was protesting against, which is interesting. And I feel like they got it out for this brother because he protested. On an episode of Undisputed with Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless, Shannon Sharp read what the Las Vegas PD talked about and why they stopped Michael Bennett. This happened to be during the Mayweather-McGregor fight that weekend. Okay? The video footage surfaced later. It didn't surface the day of the actual thing, of the actual weekend per se. But the footage has, by TMZ. I'm going to play a clip of what Shannon Sharp said, and then we're going to speak about it. This is going to help us. So this is Shannon Sharp speaking on the Michael Bennett police incident.
Did you read the Las Vegas? Did you read the memo that they sent to the NFL? This is what I want. It says, while the NFL may condone Bennett's disrespect for our American flag and everything it symbolizes, we hope the league will not ignore Bennett's false accusation against our police officer. Skip, what the hell does the flag have to do with this? What Bennett is doing in the NFL, sitting while the national anthem is being played, why would they even bring this up?
Well, it's just one guy bringing it up. But go ahead. Steve Grammas, the president of the Las Vegas Police Protective Association.
Skip.
So he's expressing his personal view before he gets into his issue.
Doesn't he speak for the police? Doesn't he? I mean, the union.
He's their protective association.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
He says everything that flag symbolizes. Okay. And what Michael Bennett and Colin Kaepernick says, what that flag supposedly symbolizes, we want those protections for everybody, not just a few. And then, guess what? You're like, involved in the shooting, our officers who are both minorities. Skip, why do we keep bringing that up? Now, normally when something like this happens, they never mention the race, ethnicity of the officers involved. It might leak out somehow.
Well, usually pictures are posted.
Right, but I'm saying they normally keep that on the low. Why do they feel the need to let it be known that they are both minorities? You see what they're trying to do. They said there could possibly be no profiling of one minority to another.
I'm going to stop it right there. So he said that usually when a lot of times these police incidents happen, they never mention the race of the police officer up front. You find out usually later on through media reports what these officers are. But in this statement that the Las Vegas PD issued, they mentioned the race of the police officers. Let me tell what that is. They happen to be that of these police officers happen to be that of the Hispanic community, so-called Hispanic community. Okay? So I don't know if they were I don't know, because I don't know if they were Mexican. I don't know. Whatever is considered in a Hispanic community, which there are a lot of white Hispanics or Hispanics who consider themselves white, that they put them in that community. This is no offense to the Hispanic community. I'm just stating a fact that Hispanic is not a race. It's really not a race. Hispanic is not a race technically.
Right.
So I don't know who these officers exactly are, but they've said that they are that of the Hispanic community. So they're trying to say, since they're Hispanic, they can't be racist. That's bull crap. That is bull. That is bull, because we know for a fact, me and you are black men, okay? Dark-skinned black men at that.
Yeah.
And I do have experience with people, not just not just racism coming from that of the Anglo-Caucasian so-called white community, but I've experienced that from Hispanics and other people who are non-white, but that are not black. I mean, just because, I mean, shoot, there are plenty of people out there who are not white who hate us too.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, especially the ones that want to be white.
Yes. Yes.
Because because if they don't consider themselves what they are, and they consider themselves white people, then they have surrendered what they really are. The only difference is that white people are going to know that you're not part of them, so they'll tell you, okay, oh, you call yourself white, but you're not white to us. I mean, I'll give you an example. There was a interview on Telemundo. It was either Telemundo or Telenav. This reporter, she looked like a sister, but she had a very Spanish accent.
Mm-hmm.
And he said to her, "To me, you're an N-word."
Wow.
So he basically said to her, "You ain't white either. You're not part of us." And he said it right on air. I wish I could find the interview. He said to her, he said, "You know what? To me, you're an N-word." And she said, "I find that offensive." My question is, you found it offensive because he just told you wasn't white like him? Or did you find it offensive because he called you the N-word? I'm just trying to figure that out, because maybe she was more upset about the fact that he didn't consider her as white.
Well,
I'm just saying.
Some like to consider themselves non. They when you ask them if they're like you said before, and I know it, that Hispanic is a nationality. It's not a race.
No, it's not a race.
So when you say that, when you ask them, it says, "Oh, when they fill the application, they usually put Hispanic." Okay, and when they say or
they put white,
or they put white,
because through history and the census, and a lot of when they collect the census, they found out that a lot of people who came from Mexico and other countries that they lumped them in to being Latino or the Hispanic community, they were putting down white.
See?
Yeah. Those of Cuba, the Cubans who appear to look more white, they will identify themselves as whites. So this is not something that is new. This may be new to others, but it's not new to us.
No.
I mean, let's just keep it real. There are some black people who consider themselves white. Okay.
The Dominican in the Dominican diaspora, there's a lot of some Dominicans that strongly believe that even when they have dark skin, they believe that they're white.
Right.
Or they believe that they're non-African. So,
it's so much of an oxymoron that you said Dominican diaspora, because there is no such thing, because me and you both know that the Dominicans are part of the African diaspora, Yeah. But I know what you're saying. You're saying in DR,
yes,
that's what they would consider themselves.
That's what they consider
You're
themselves.
Right.
Yes.
Let me play the rest of this clip, and then we're going to get deeper into this subject, because what he said was very good.
But that's not the issue. The profile is unimportant in this matter. It's the profile E, is that you are looking at him, and because he looks a certain way, or he or she looks a certain way, that are dressed a certain way, you become unreasonably suspicious of them. That's what profiling is. Not that it's, he was a minority, he was a Hispanic, or he was an Asian. No, the police is an institution. It's symbolic, what you represent. What is the NFL what are they investigating? Where's the misconduct? Was he fighting with police officers? Was he in the casino causing a ruckus? Was he, what is Roger Goodell supposed to investigate here, Skip? I'm like, and but you see, because of what have happened with Colin Kaepernick, they've allowed a lot of sponsors, they've allowed a lot of police departments to feel emboldened because of the backlash. And it's like, well, if we say this, they're going to have to do something, because they don't want, they don't want this uproar. They don't want this outcry. I can't even believe it. I mean, when I was reading it last night, I'm like, are you for real? And you put while the NFL may condone Bennett's disrespect for our American flag, Skip, that's in the first paragraph.
The opening line.
Skip, I'm just trying to figure out, what does the flag have to do with why you want the NFL to investigate Michael Bennett? I'm just trying to see the correlation, Skip. I'm not a detective. And I got one more thing, Skip. I'm dealing with the body cam. She said we can't leave the body cam on 24 hours because it's recording everything. So me and my partner having normal conversation, I start and get something to eat.
That situation, right?
When you think there's an active shooter. So you're not in a situation right now where you're under duress.
You're supposed to.
That had Michael on the ground, his didn't work, but the other one's dead. Mm-hmm. I don't know how that, but that's what supposedly or allegedly happened. Mm-hmm. I just don't get what the flag. They make it a point to bring that flag in because they know who Michael Bennett is mm-hmm. and know what he represents and what he stands against. And before I turn it over, Skip, two things can be true. They're not mutually exclusive. Mm. You can be against injustice, but you can be for cops. I'm for good cops. The bad ones, the hell with them. Mm-hmm.
Now, very well spoken and articulated for us to expand on what that brother just said, because I agree with that last sentiment he just said. He said you could stand against injustice but still be for the support of police, the good ones, mm-hmm. but it's mm-hmm. the bad ones to heck with them. Now, that's all we're trying to say, mm-hmm. are those who stand for injustice, mm-hmm. because we want to replace first off, injustice is the system of white supremacy. It's an injustice because if justice is only in favor of one party, that's an injustice.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Now, we want to replace that system with a system of justice. And when you replace it with a system of justice, you do need the law. Mm-hmm. But you need those who are going to fulfill and protect the law the way they're supposed to, and not the way that we've been seeing. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Zaccheus, what is your take on that?
What Shannon said.
He dropped a bomb at the end, right? As far as what he said, what he further said.
Yeah, Shannon was 100% right, man. I mean, one thing don't have to do with the other thing. Yep. This is all a conspiracy to just put Bennett down, lock him up because he's standing for what's right. He's standing for what Kaepernick stands for, and what the other brothers stand for: injustice towards black people, black men, black women. And this is what he's standing for. By not, you're saluting. What are we saluting to? You're saluting the flag. You're pledging allegiance to an injustice system, to a system that doesn't compliment us, a system that always sees us as the villain, a flag that always doesn't represent us. It may represent the other party, but definitely doesn't represent us as far as justice is concerned. It's always an injustice towards us. So therefore, what Kaepernick and Bennett is standing for is something that most of the brothers in the NFL should be standing for. I understand you gotta pay your bills. I get that, but still, in the same token, injustice it may not happen to you, but injustice can happen to your children's children.
Also, talk about the body cams, because remember, off air, I said to you, what's the point of these body cams if they're just going to be off when it matters? Because we've had cameras record things when it matters, and we still have seen injustice take place.
Perfect example. Eric Gardner. That's a perfect example. I mean, she was choked up right in front of us.
Murdered.
And right in front of us. With a video on us. And there's another situation where you see Philando Castile shot in live footage on social media right in front of us, and it was injustice done right there too. So it's all this footage and still no justice being done. That just speaks volume right there. And what Shannon was saying he was saying a whole lot. I know, big up to him, man. You know, when it comes to Bennett, man, big up to him. One thing doesn't have to do with the other. This is all a propaganda just to say that, okay, because you started with Kaepernick, we're going to investigate you.
Think about it. The fact that they mentioned, the NFL may put up with him and protesting and disrespect of the flag. It's like you're basically saying, we know who this guy is, and we decided to use non-white police officers to do our bidding. We use them as our attack dogs, because that's all you are if you work for them.
That's it.
If they can use you to do what they are already gonna do, then you're basically their attack dog, and then you're no different from them. And then you in with them. How about that? It's all a gang. It's all a mob. You know what I'm saying?
So, Shannon was saying that they're going to use the NFL is going to investigate him?
For what? If the man didn't do... Okay, let me put it more in context. Something that happened. Something, what was it? The velvet rope, something thing in Vegas, something fell. But and when it hit the ground, it sounded like gunshots. So everybody was running. Everybody. I'd be running too. Yeah. Let me tell you something. There are situations where I ran because people ran.
Yeah.
I ain't had to hear nothing.
Right. You're right. Yeah. Okay. You don't want to get caught up. Yeah.
So, this is what we're dealing with. Mm-hmm. This system. Mm-hmm. And like I said, they mentioned that. Mm-hmm. So this sounds personal. It almost sounds very personal. And you know what? Here, Michael Bennett, he's not poor. He's a brother. He got money. But you being black with money doesn't make you not black anymore. The racism doesn't stop because you got money. And that's where that, you got coons out there talking about, you got white supremacists and coons who work for the white supremacists that will say, he got money, he
go by that coon water, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? They're out there drinking coon water and coon-aid. Not Kool-Aid, but coon-aid. You know what I'm saying? And then they're out there saying, he got money. That's okay because he'll be all right. No, that man could have got killed because, according to the TMZ footage, it looked like there was something being held up against that brother's head. Yeah. I don't know if it was a gun or whatever or a taser. Yeah. But that brother could have died that night.
He could have, yeah. It could have, yeah.
And then what would you be saying then? That's okay. You'll find a way to criminalize him because every time police brutality happens and the person dies, they always criminalize the victim.
Yes, say he was a criminal. He did
especially
this.
If especially if he is a man of color. Mm-hmm. They go out of their way to criminalize the victim who's been victimized by the police brutality. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They do the best they can to do that,
and they always do that. Yeah, you always see Eric Gardner, all of them, Fidel Castro, they do that.
They always do that. But I'm gonna tell you, it's only different when it's the other way around because here you had a police officer by the name of Muhammad Noor who killed Justine Diamond, a white woman. And the first day they found out what happened, the cop, they said what his race was. I'm like, wait a minute. Usually they don't do that. They don't let you know a white cop killed a brother. But with this one, they let you know that a Somalian cop killed a white woman. Wow. Ooh. And did they criminalize Justine Diamond? No, they criminalized the cop. So where was All Lives Matter and Blue Lives Matter to defend the cop who killed that woman?
Yeah. Where are they?
Right.
Where are they?
Now that I'm not saying that it's okay to do that with the woman. I'm just making a point. I'm just making a point about the media and these police bootlickers. Is that when the person is a person of color, they never give the person who got killed or harmed the benefit of the doubt. They never do. But I did notice with that Justine Diamond situation, they gave Justine Diamond all the benefit of the doubt. And that's what you know what you should do. They should have did that for Eric Garner. They should have did that for Tamir Rice, a child. He should have got all the benefit of the doubt. He should have.
Yes, he should have. Yeah.
Because here's our justice system. When you are of the dominant society, you're innocent until proven guilty. But when you are not of the dominant society, you are guilty before proven innocent. How about that? There's a difference between you getting in court and proving you're not guilty, and then you getting in court and proving and trying to prove that you're innocent. Oh, that may sound the same, but it's not when it plays out in court.
That's the truth, man.
So we're gonna have to wrap this up. Zaccheus, anything else you want to say about this before we go?
Yeah, you know what? When it comes to injustice, and you can see it, it's quite clear who benefits. It's quite clear what side, what the beneficiary is when it comes to justice and injustice. It's quite clear that we as black people, we gotta cross our I's and dot our T's at all times, but the other side don't. It's quite clear to see that in Bennett's case, that they only did this because he stood for justice, just like Kaepernick did. He refused to salute an injustice system. It's quite clear that you see it. It's quite clear. What Shannon talked about is so correct. You know, so we're living in a system that's dominant white supremacy society, that we got to be careful where we go. You know, we got every time it's different when you're being harassed and stopped by the police, and you're a black man or a black woman being harassed and shook by the police. You got to worry about if you're gonna live or not. You know, it's easy to say, oh, the cop just pulled you over. No, it's not easy for us, because when the cops pull us over, we got to worry about if we're gonna make it back home, right, Fifth?
Exactly.
So in my closing, that's all I gotta say, man. Big up to Shannon, big up to Bennett, big up to the brothers in the NFL who was kneeling down and taking a stand.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Cleveland Browns,
mm-hmm.
all them cats that was for the Cleveland Browns, and shout out to Marshawn Lynch and others who have joined in the protest. Yeah. So I'm gonna leave off by saying this really quickly. You know, like I said, they in that statement they talked about disrespect for the flag. The one thing I probably said before in the past is that when you look at the history of not only just the Confederate flag, but the American flag, at the end of the day, man, it's all racist. You know what I mean? Because these flags were created at a time where Zaccheus, me and your ancestors, our ancestors, were still in the cotton fields.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, when these flags were being created, I mean, they were being created at a time for a particular reason and for the nation, but at the time, the nation didn't love us.
Right, right.
And so if you ask me, it's all racist, it's all prejudice. And my whole thing is, you know, like a lot of the veterans said with Kaepernick, you know, we the American flag was, you know, we was in a war, and we fought for a war, and we fought to protect the rights of those to also sit down for the flag as well. Stand or sit. You know, that's, you know, are we a freedom nation, or are we a nation of a dictatorship? Because a dictatorship would be a country like North Korea. God forbid somebody sits down during their anthem, they'll probably get bodied right on the spot. Now, is that what you're proposing for this nation? Or do you want a dictatorship? Because America in a dictatorship would mean that somebody like Kaepernick or Bennett would be shot right on the spot for not saluting the flag. That's a dictatorship. You know, that's probably what y'all want. And here's what I want to say. How dare you tell me what I got to do when the American flag comes up? How dare you? You don't tell me to stand up and put my hand over my heart for a nation that puts their gun to my brother's back and doesn't even blink. Don't tell me that.
Yeah.
Okay? Because you wouldn't tell somebody of the Jewish community to put their hand over their heart for a swastika.
Shoot.
Now that's my final thought.
Speak on it.
Zaccheus, where can they reach you?
Yo, you can reach me at Wayne Backus 2 on Twitter. At Twitter, Wayne Backus 2. You could also reach me on Facebook at Wayne Zaccheus Backus on Facebook, or Wayne Backus on Facebook. You can Zaccheus B73 right on Instagram. Yeah, go get that book, Batman, a Thug and a Gangster. Yeah.
That's what up. Go support my brother. You can contact me at The Fifth General, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. All right? So we're going to end this,
Yeah.
just what we said was real,
Right.
and we don't, I don't say this all the time, but this episode is important because we talked about 9/11 in the beginning.
Yeah.
This ain't to offend nobody, but I'm just speaking on the reality of things, okay? And what you may be going through is not what everybody else is going through, but you need to acknowledge everybody's struggles.
That's right.
A fair-minded person is when he respects everybody's struggle, not just his own.
His own, that's right.
So we're going to get up out of here, all right? So signing off.
Mr. Z.
All right, and Fifth, we'll get to y'all next time.
Tune in next time.
Peace.
Peace.